But Chelsea was a fire sale, wasn't it? But it went for the sort of money that maybe the Glazers have wanted. Why are the bids lower for Manchester? I think even the most diehard Chelsea fan would concede that Manchester United are globally a bigger club than Chelsea. So why are we seeing this difference not only at Manchester United, but also, as Melissa was mentioning, at Liverpool as well? Why hasn't it attracted what they'd hoped it would attract?
So I think there's a few reasons. As you say, Chelsea was a quicker sale. It had to be a quicker sale because of what was happening at the time with regards to Russia and Ukraine and with regards to the sanctions placed on Mr. Abramovich. But just because there's a significant amount of interest declared doesn't mean that those are all prospective bidders that could then go and acquire the club. I think there was over 100 registered parties that registered their interest in Chelsea. And actually, when it came down to signing non-disclosure agreements and I suppose putting a serious foot forward, there was close to 10. With Manchester United, I think that there's a number of factors at play. As I alluded to earlier, the notion that this is going to be the most expensive sporting franchise sale of all time to date means that that's only going to be possible for a certain amount of ownership groups. In the UK, there's very few people that are able to do that. The fact that it is Britain's richest man that has put a bid forward showcases that. In the US, as we know, there's been a number, I think it's close to half, if not half, of Premier League football clubs now have minority and majority investment from US ownership groups. So there's already a huge presence within UK, European and world football from ownership groups across the world. We've obviously seen Newcastle and links to the Public Investment Fund in Saudi Arabia, Manchester City and Abu Dhabi. So the reality is that whilst this is obviously a hugely attractive sporting institution, sporting asset, there are very few parties across the world that actually can have the money to go out and buy Manchester United. So I think that will dictate the amount of interested parties, number one. And I think number two, it's not just the valuation on the club, it's actually the required spend. United are in a very different position to, say, Liverpool, and more akin to the Chelsea sale, whereby there will be a price for the club and then there's a significant infrastructure commitment that's required. And you're talking close to the tune of £2 billion. So that's the stadium redevelopment, that's the training ground, that's writing off the debt, that's the infrastructure commitment to the playing squad as well. So this is where we're talking about a significant amount of money here. And the reality is that based on ownership groups already having presence within sporting institutions, football clubs across the world, that limits them out of the equation because we know what the rules are with regards to multi-club ownership and the same ownership group having different stakes in different clubs competing in European competition. So the reality is that there's not all that much left. And then when you get into banks, institutions, whilst the sporting elements are important, the reality is it's the finances. And do the finances stack up for a football club acquisition to the tune of what the Glazers believe Manchester United to be worth? Debatable.